All right, so I hiked up to this remote area to kind of give you a practical demonstration of the Gnarbox. The usefulness in this is already shown off in my hike up here because I didn't want to bring my laptop to offload footage. Now, a practical use case of this little Gnarbox is that I'm gonna take my Inspire 1 up in the air, get some awesome footage and be able to share it immediately. And that to me is, in and of itself, shows value to this system because I don't have to bring my laptop up here. My laptop wouldn't be any use to me anyways without the use of my cell phone because I have to have internet connectivity in that. So all the post-processing and everything from this point on is going to be done from this. So I'm gonna take this up in the air, grab some footage, and then we're gonna go through the editing process to kind of show you how that works. Now that I've concluded my flight, I want to see how the editing process runs through the Gnarbox. With this thing, it is dust-proof, shock-proof, and all that type of stuff. Water-resistant as well. You just unhinge these caps here. You get a SD card slot, micro SD card slot, USB 3.0 and USB 2.0, and the charging port that's version B. So with that, I'm just going to insert the micro SD card here. You got to have some fingernails to do that because you have to push it in. It seats really nicely. And I'm gonna take you through the editing process by which the Gnarbox offers you. All right, so all the footage is finished transferring off of the SD card. It took about 7 minutes to transfer about 10 minutes of footage. It's 4K onto the Gnarbox from my micro SD card. One thing that you will note here is that the Gnarbox is processing that footage. So as it's processing, playback may be choppy and it's warning you of that. I want to talk to you about realistic expectations of the Gnarbox and also planning for workflow. So for example, after I've concluded my first flight, I would load that SD card, that first SD card into my Gnarbox and transfer it onto the Gnarbox and send my Inspire up again and capture in, some more footage with a second SD card. And by the time I brought the Inspire 1 back, the footage would have been transferred off of that first SD card. That is probably the benefit of having something like that, but I can understand why some people would think that it's like instantaneous. It's not going to be instant transfer speeds like you would experience on your workstation or anything like that. And I wouldn't expect some product like that to do this because I am sacrificing a lot of speed and stuff like that for the element of accessibility and portability. This thing is awesome so far, and I want to see how the editing process works. But I just wanted to kind of give you some heads up on what to expect from the Gnarbox and the realistic capabilities of such a tool adds to your workflow. All right, so it looks like one of my clips is done processing, so I'm going to go ahead and start the edit. The first thing that I want to add to this is my outro. So I have this footage already loaded on. I'm going to hit edit, and then I'm just going to swipe up and add it to my reel. Now that that's been done, I'm going to go ahead and go back twice, and go into some of the footage that I just shot, and then hit edit here as well. And as you can see, it's pretty nice for being 4K footage and being processed on the Gnarbox behind this phone. So now that I've got some more footage here, I can just swipe up and add it to the reel. One bad thing about the Gnarbox editing process is that it doesn't have any transitions or anything like that, so you're not going to get any smooth transitions. That's problematic for some, but for me it's not, because I'm in a remote area to where I can quickly grab some stuff that I edited or shot on my Inspire and share it to Instagram rather quickly. And that to me is of benefit, because now I can share some of the work that I'm doing on the fly. So with all that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and edit something down, and we're gonna go ahead and you're gonna take a look at how it turned out. I've finished editing the video that I shot on my Inspire One using the Gnarbox and the Gnarbox software. I will say that it is a little difficult to make really tight adjustments to the timeline using your finger on the iPhone 10. It's just something that the limitation of the interface or something like that. It's not responsiveness, it's just the way that they make adjustments on the timeline. It's just difficult to do. Hopping back into the reel, I can export this video in 4K to the Gnarbox or to my device. I'm gonna go ahead and export it to my device, and then we're going to take a look at this preview. So after that whole process of, transferring footage, editing, exporting, and doing all that type of stuff, the Gnarbox is down to 92%. I started this whole process at 100%, so not too shabby. It's doing pretty good on the battery life end of it. I want to finish this video up by giving you my thoughts. For $299 for 107 gigabytes of internal storage, and the capabilities of this, I think is a little too high. The reason behind that is that it doesn't offer enough speed in the workflow to kind of improve it so much so that it's worth $300. I know that's a little bad of me to say, but for 300 bucks, you should be able to speed up your workflow, and having to wait for the footage to transfer, then process, then be able to edit it it's a learning experience, but if you get to master it, this thing is very useful. I'm going to continue to use it on a lot of my projects. Do I recommend the Gnarbox? That depends. If you're going to use this to back up your footage, I wholeheartedly recommend it. And the reason behind that is that you can take your media from your camera or your drone, plug it into this thing, have it back up that footage onto the Gnarbox, and then back that Gnarbox footage up onto an external hard drive. That in and of itself, that redundancy is worth it. It's just worth it, because sometimes you can't reshoot, and being able to do that in the field on the go without a laptop is awesome. If you're just gonna purchase this thing for, kind of mobile editing and all that type of stuff, you're gonna have some buyer's remorse, because the app is a little underwhelming, and it's a different experience on iOS than it is Android. Android's a way stripped down or watered down version that's just not worth it. The heartache and all that type of stuff you're gonna have on Android is it's a bad experience. And if Gnarbox is watching this, please improve the Android app so it's just as good as the iOS app, because in your marketing, it seems like you can do all of this certain stuff that you can't on an Android device. You can do it on iOS, but you can't do it on Android. Well, that about does it for me in this one. Before I close, I must disclose Gnarbox was kind enough to send this thing out to me for review, so without them, this video would not have been possible. If you liked it, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do. Thank you for taking the time to watch. I'm Tomas, and I will catch you in the next one.